everybody, and welcome to another edition of Resilience Talk with Brad Neufeld. I have an awesome guest on today. All of my guests are awesome because they're handpicked. I'm looking for people who have been there, done that, and can then in turn help you to overcome these challenges in life. And here's one that's pretty unique. Today, our guest is Wendy Hooton. And Wendy is a #1 international best-selling speaker and Down syndrome advocate. She released her book, and I love your title here, Wendy. I love it. Big People Don't Pee in the Park, A Mother and Son's Journey with Down Syndrome. You released that back in October, which became a #1 international bestseller. And through healing, hope, and humor, Wendy shares her journey of her son's unexpected Down syndrome diagnosis, which she gave birth to at the age of 23. Motivated to share this story, she hopes to help parents move beyond the shock and fear that they might be experiencing after learning of their newborn's unexpected prognosis, while offering them a window into the incredible life that they will have. Her goal, by sharing her 30 years of lived expertise, she hopes to create a dynamic space of connection and provide resources to help others. Wendy is also committed to helping society see the worth of people who are differently abled, and I love how you said that. I'd like to talk about that a little bit today too. And the day Wendy became a mom, she also became a teacher and student. As a teacher, a student, and a warrior. She's fun, motivated, dedicated, and fearless, which may be what qualified her for this position. When she was not lost in her writing, or when she is not lost in her writing or soaking up words written by other authors, Wendy enjoys spending time with her family and friends on adventurous road trips, at the beach, and driving through the majestic Utah mountains. Her favorite activity, though, is being entertained by her hilarious son. Love your bio. Oh my gosh, Wendy, I'm so glad you and I connected. This has been something that I know there's a lot of families. I've worked in the mental health industry for years, worked with a lot of autistic kids, but Down syndrome is a whole different animal, wouldn't you say?
Well, actually, they're probably just different animals in their own,
Mhm.
each unique. So, but yes, Down syndrome, I can speak to my life with Down syndrome. So,
Awesome. Well, let's go back. So this all happened. You were 23 years old. You were pregnant. You were looking forward to becoming a new mom. When did you find out about the Down syndrome?
so my son was 3 hours old when the pediatrician came in. She was carrying our child and asked if she could sit down and talk with us. And right when she did that, I knew something was wrong. Up until then, I was a new mom. I was on a high, all those exciting emotions of just having had a baby. And when she came in carrying my baby, just my woman's intuition or new mommy's instinct or whatever, told me that she was about to shatter my world.
Hmm. And so then it happened. Then she told you.
Yeah.
Then what were the emotions going on? What oh, you it just had to be, because you had I know you talk about this in your book, but you just felt like I was, your world had just been, so you had all these plans, and then all of a sudden the plans changed.
Exactly. So when she told us, I it was back in 1990 for one thing, and like I said, like you said, I was 23 years old, so I had had very little exposure to people with Down syndrome. So
Mhm.
what I did know was enough to scare me. So when she told us that they thought he had Down syndrome, that they were 95% sure he did, I prayed with all my heart and all my might that he was going to be that 5% that didn't.
Mhm.
And again, based on what little I knew about Down syndrome. So she gave us all of the symptoms that led them to believe he did have Down syndrome. And I, of course, had an argument for every symptom, and I share that in my book too. That chapter is very emotional for me. I share what happened in that hospital room that night. But at that point, I what could I do? It was what it was, and he was still my baby. And because he was born 3.5 weeks early, so he had some jaundice, so he had to stay in the hospital. So while he was in the NICU, I stayed as well. And in those first few days, as I was grieving, so to speak, for the baby that I had lost, I had an opportunity to just bond with him and see him as just a baby. And I don't know. I mean, I was scared to death. I didn't know what my world would look like. Again, what little I knew, I didn't think he would have a very good life. And I worried that our family wouldn't have, wouldn't experience the joys that every other parents who were having babies were experiencing. But I couldn't have been more wrong. I just, from those first few days of bonding with him and realizing he's just that, he's just a baby. And we were just going to have to tackle this one day at a time.
Well, how did your plans change? So at what point did you go, you know what, was it at that moment that you went, you know what, I'm going to make the best of this?
Immediately. Yeah, immediately. From what I knew, my son wouldn't, there would be so many things he wouldn't be able to do. And I don't know why, but as I can remember the day that he was sitting between my legs on the hospital bed. They had brought him in because he could come out of the NICU for a little while each day.
Yeah.
And I remember looking at him and thinking, you know what? Nobody's going to tell me what you can't do. Nobody's going to tell you what you can't do. You know what, son? We are going to do everything that we want to do. And if you can't do it, then hey, we tried. We'll take different steps to reach different goals. So when I left the hospital with him, I had these goals. He was going to go to school. He was going to learn to drive. He was going to go to college. He was going to get married. He was going to have a job. Nobody was going to set limitations on this brand new baby before we even knew what he was able to do. And so as he began to grow and reality started to set in for me, it wasn't that we just had to shift our dreams. So yes, he did go to school, and yes, and no, he doesn't drive, but we just found new dreams and goals for him. So that's what we did. My goals for him did have to shift, but we created new goals.
Awesome. And leading up to the title of your book, so and again, love the attitude that you have there towards it, because do you feel like that made the biggest difference, just the shift in the attitude?
Yes, I mean, I'm not going to lie. I was scared,
Oh yeah,
and
I can only imagine.
yeah, and some days I'm still scared. It's like, and I wonder if I'm still doing enough for him. But yeah, it is all about attitude, and it is about being strong and persevering, because just like I said, some of the struggles and the challenges that I was up against were the professionals who were telling me he may never do this, he may never do that. And so it just, you know what, it just gave me that, oh yeah, let me show you,
Nice.
and I pushed
Love
him,
it.
I
That sent a
pushed him
chill down
even
my
harder.
spine. Thank you.
Yeah, and I pushed him even harder. And I did actually have one a I don't know what his profession was, but he was in the school district, tell me that my expectations for my son were too high. And again, that just fueled me up,
Yeah, that
and
infuriates me. Anyway.
yeah. So, and unfortunately you run into that. And that's because some of these people are older or were older, and they were of that perception still. They couldn't get it out of their mindset that these individuals can do, what they want to do. They just have to do it at a different pace or learn it at a different pace. So yes, attitude was everything, and not giving up and advocating, and just being his voice when he couldn't speak and still can't speak for himself.
Wow. And so you found ways. I'm sure you were reading books and articles on Down syndrome to see, okay, how should I treat him? What should I do? And was it just your motherly instinct that made you go, you know what? Or let me ask it a different way. Were there things along the way where the experts, so to speak, would say this is the way to do it, and you went, no, I'm going to do it a different way? Was there anything like that?
Sometimes, yeah.
Mhm.
Back then, the resources, we didn't have the internet. We didn't have all these, there were some support groups, but there's so much more now. So the resources that were available to me were of old knowledge, and and scared me even more. I did find myself going to the library looking for information, or to the bookstores, to see what, and unfortunately what was out there at that time scared me even more. So I had to, and some of that still exists.
Mm.
It has gotten so much better, but what I had to do was just back off and just be a mom. I just had to know my baby, know what he was capable of, and just continue to, find where he fit into this world. Like any parent, I think, I wanted to dance. And so my parents put me into dance. Well, we tried sports with him because, he liked to toss a ball around. And so we just had to find the sports that worked for him, like you would for any other baby or child or toddler. One thing I did run into was, as I was looking for sporting activities for him, I would go to sign him up, and the people at the registration tables would tell me, well, there's programs out there for kids like these. You probably shouldn't sign him up. But for Matt, I was trying to find the place where he fit in. So he didn't fit into the adaptive sporting opportunities. And yet he wasn't at full par with regular sporting activities. So what I did is I just stopped taking him to sign up. I would just go sign him up so that I didn't have to have that experience. And then I would show up with him. And of course, it would be a surprise to the coaches, but I would just go prepared the very first day, to encourage the kids to help Matt. Kids want to feel needed. They want to feel special.
Absolutely.
And so what I would do is just say, hey, you guys have a really important job here. In addition to helping your team win, you can help Matt become the best he can be. So, they loved that. And so Matt would grow with those kids. Once we found that sport, we tried t-ball. That didn't work because t-ball for any child's boring, but he played soccer for a long time,
Nice.
and then like I had to, when he became a teenager, I did have to be honest with myself and honest with him and the team that he couldn't keep up. And he was having a harder time, and they were starting to get better and better and wanting to go to championships and do all that. So we just tried to find a new sport for him. So you have to be real and honest with yourself as you're pursuing these opportunities for your child.
Absolutely. So what led up to the title of your book, Big People Don't Pee in the Park? I mean, you told me off the interview here, but would you mind sharing that?
Absolutely.
Yeah, what led to that?
Yeah, we were at the park one day, and gosh, he was probably around 9 or 10, and it was in the fall, and he needed to go. He comes running up to me like kids do, waiting till the last minute, telling me he has to go to the bathroom. And so I rushed him over to the bathroom that I knew, and it was locked. So I panicked. Uh-oh, what am I going to do? Because now I know he's got to go. So I turn around and I'm trying to get my bearings in the park and find the next restroom. And when I turn back around, there he was peeing in the bushes. And so I fanned myself out as far as I could to cover, and I'm looking around to make sure nobody's watching. And he's midstream by now. There's no stopping it. When you gotta go, you gotta go. And
right.
And so I call it yespering, because I was yelling and whispering at the same time. I
Nice.
yespered, Matthew, big people don't pee in the park, and then so we get through that. And then the next day I was at work and I was telling my colleagues and my director about this story, and we're all laughing. And right when I said that part, we all just went, hey, that would be a great title for your book. Because at that point I knew one day I'd be writing a book, but the book I had planned to write was a totally different book. But when we said that, it was probably 20 plus years ago that happened. And anyway, so it just stuck. And I did want to make sure that it was appropriate for a book. So I tested the title out, with several people, and I received the greatest feedback on it. So I knew I knew that had to be the title of my book, especially because my book is full of humor. It's got some serious stories in there as well, but it's full of humor. And so a funny title was appropriate.
Mhm. Oh yeah, because it's hilarious. When you told me that, I remember I busted up laughing. I thought, that's so random. But yeah,
And
it's funny how he played a part in creating that title there.
yeah,
So
yeah.
so then after his teenage years, what did he end up? Did he find specific things that he ended up loving that he could focus on, or what kind of
Matt,
things does? Because how old is he now? 33.
yeah, he's 33 now.
Okay.
And we've just had to, I'm sure you can call it phases with any
Mhm.
child. You go through different phases of life, and each phase or stage, you may change and find new desires and new things.
Right.
So he was in the school system until he was 22, and he loved that.
Mhm.
Um, After high school, they go to an adult, well, what do they call it? Um, it's just a school where kids with all different abilities go until the age of 22.
Gotcha.
And he loved that. And what they do in that school is they take him out into the
Alternative
community.
schools or something like
Yeah,
that. Yeah.
yeah, something like that. Yeah.
Hmm.
But they take them out in the community. They teach them to use public transportation. They have job opportunities where they do job coaching. They teach them how to cook, how to take care of daily routines. So that's what they do in that school. And then when he aged out of the school system, he went to an adult day program
Hmm.
that kind of did the same thing. So uh, again, more opportunities out in the community, volunteering. He's done a lot of volunteer opportunities. And then now he goes, we've just kind of been through, as he's grown, finding programs that fit for him. He's an avid bowler. He loves to bowl.
Nice.
I mean, his highest score was 193, I think.
Holy
And
cow.
yeah, and this is, oh no, 198, because
When
he
I,
came 2 pins short of a 200. And he doesn't use bumpers.
uh-huh.
His nickname is Fireball. So uh
Nice.
yeah, so he throws it like, man, he sometimes I think he thinks he's playing softball. But so he's bowled for years, and there's a chapter in my book about bowling. He did karate for several years, for like 8 years. So it's Kempo karate. So he earned up to a green belt, in which
Okay.
it from the green belt it then goes brown and black.
Black. So
So
yeah, he made it quite a ways.
yeah, so I mean, again, it took a lot of time, a lot of dedication, the most amazing class, and it was just an adult karate class. So the instructor was awesome. The class was awesome. They all took their time with Matt, helping him to achieve each belt.
Mhm.
And yeah, so that's just what we've been doing, is finding what he enjoys doing. Now he enjoys reading a lot, especially since our book,
Mhm.
uh, and writing. And so he spends a lot of time doing reading and writing, and he's actually helping me co-author our next book.
Oh,
So
sweet. That's
yeah,
got to make him feel good. He's got to.
yeah,
Oh, that's just awesome. So let's
yeah.
talk about that then. Your book. When did you actually? So you had one in mind, and then that kind of changed a little bit. And so at what point did you decide? You know what? I need to write a book on this.
Well, after COVID, I started noticing on social media a lot of parents coming forward, sharing their emotions, sharing their trying to process the diagnosis.
Mhm.
And with every note I would read, it would take me back to that hospital room. And a little bit of my heart would just, you know, kind of, it was take me back to the hospital room. So would relive my own experience. But then I've been into this for 33 years, and it's been an amazing journey. And not to sound cliche, everyone, when I had my son, or not every, I mean, a lot of people that would come and visit us would tell me, you're going to have the best life. He's going to be such a blessing. He's going to be a gift every day. You're so lucky. You're so blessed. And back then I didn't want to be lucky or blessed. I
Right.
wanted to be what every other parent was experiencing. But now I'm into this 33 years, and I do feel lucky and I do feel blessed. And mostly because I feel like now he was sent to me to teach me. So that's why I say I became a teacher, because I have to teach him every day. But I also became a student because he teaches me every day. He teaches
Mhm.
me, you know, he's a teacher of just humanity, compassion, and
That's a, oh,
forgiveness and unconditional love. And so I just, again, sorry.
no, no, you're fine. You're fine. I know it gets that way. Some people call it age. I don't believe it, you know. So so anyway, Wendy, so anyway, what an experience though. And like I say, attitude obviously had a lot to do with it. And that just warms my heart that, you know, he's where he's at, and he's involved in so many things. And oh my gosh, what are some of the recommendations you could make to parents on what to do, or that they have when they have a Down syndrome child?
Well, the first thing I would say is, and I'm pausing because I just remembered where I froze the
Okay,
last time.
all right.
But the first thing I would say is, you know what? It's okay.
Mm-hmm.
Allow those emotions, allow those feelings to happen, because you're not alone.
Mm-hmm.
And the second thing I would say is just love your baby,
Mm-hmm.
because they're just that. They're a
Yeah.
baby. And tackle each day one at a time. You know, one thing that I've been saying about the title of my book too, Big People Don't Pee in the Park, is that um, having my son has also been about navigating through the don'ts with the Down syndrome diagnosis. And when I say that, I mean, like, don't worry so much, and don't forget to celebrate, and don't forget to find the joy, and don't compare, and don't. So there's all these don'ts that come with raising this child. Mostly just enjoy the journey. You know, it is hard. I won't lie. And I've called that out in my book. It is hard, but what life isn't hard, you
Yeah.
know? So
And I
just
love your
enjoy it.
enjoy the journey. Yeah,
Hmm.
absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely. And so you made the decision to write your book. How long did it take you to write it?
Oh my gosh, over 2 years.
2 years.
And,
Yeah.
and 2 years nonstop. I retired during the pandemic. That's what I remembered. I retired during the pandemic, and that's when I started seeing all these posts. And I decided, you know what? I need to show them, these parents, this is the life you have to look forward to. I mean, there's so much out there now. You've got social media, you've got Instagram, TikToks, you've got all these individuals with Down syndrome who are creating, who have their own stores, they're creating pottery, they're creating t-shirts. You go out on social media and you just see there's models, there's actors, there's all these individuals who are really reaching their greatest potential because they've got the love and the support behind them. And so with my book, that's what I wanted to show, is that, you know, just each story, each chapter is a story, and it shares how I've worked through each situation that he has put me in, and how we created those goals and dreams, you know, and then how we pursued them. So um, that's why I chose to write this book, is to give. And I chose to write it in a funny way because, you know, I could have used some humor when I had my son. I could have used, obviously there's a time, because you do have to do that, go through that grieving process, so to say. But I could have used some humor. I could have, this book, I think I would have enjoyed reading this book. It would have helped me see, oh my gosh, you know, my son is just like any other child. He's going to steal. He's going to touch people's hearts. He's going to pee in the park.
Yeah.
He's going to do all these things that other children do. So
Well,
that was the,
so what kind of encouragement can you give to people? Because this is one reason why I started Resilience Talk Network to begin with, because I just know there's a lot of good people out there that have messages that need to get out to the world, and I wanted to provide a means for that. But I do know this also. A lot of people have these feelings that they should write a book. What advice can you give them? How do you even get started?
I did a lot of research. I
Mhm.
went online, and so I have no additional schooling in writing a book.
Mhm.
I had uh, friends and family member tell me, over the years, have you ever thought about writing a book? And once I decided to start, pursuing this, I found all these little bucket lists all over, journals, notebooks that I had written, that one day I wanted to write a book.
Mhm.
And so when I decided to retire to write this book, I spent every day for those 2 years. But to start, I had to do all this research. I had to figure out how to write a book. I
Yeah.
didn't know there were all these rules in writing a book.
Formatting and yeah.
Yeah, I didn't, the words you're not supposed to use. It was very supposedly, there's all these words that they call them banned words
Yeah.
when writing. So I had to learn that. I had to be disciplined. I had to fight. Resistance creeps into your brain and tries to tell you, you don't have a story. Who do you think you are?
Mhm.
uh Nobody's going to read your book. Those kinds of things just plague your mind as you're going through the writing process. And so what I just would do is, in those moments, if I was having a hard day, I would step away or maybe write something different.
Mhm.
But I never gave up because I believed in my message. And I felt like I've been saying the universe. I felt like the universe was nudging me along. I would hear little whisperings, you need to help them.
Mhm.
You've got a story here. And so because I felt like the universe had my back, I just persevered even through those. I mean, it's super hard to write a book. I'm not going to lie, but don't give up because everybody has a story and somebody can benefit from your story.
Yes. Oh, absolutely. And yes, say that again. People can can
Don't
benefit
give
from your
up.
story. Yeah,
Yeah,
exactly.
don't give up. Everybody has a story. My story is no different than yours or the next person. Everyone has a story, and if you believe it. Don't know if, believe it. You have a story. And if you want to write about it, know that it's hard. I'll tell you what, I have a greater appreciation for every single author out there now.
Yeah.
I know the blood, sweat, and tears that goes into creating a book.
Yes.
And when I read a book now, I really give it my authentic um, attention
Mhm.
because I mean, and not all books are my favorite books,
Mhm.
but even for those books, that author worked hard to get them published, to get it
Mhm.
out there.
So now you're working on a new book. Would you like to tell us about that now, or do you want to wait a little while?
Well, it is. My son likes to read, and
Mhm.
he loves stories like Harry Potter and the Divergent series and that kind of stuff. But some of those books can be a little bit harder for him.
Mhm.
So what we're working on is a young adult series, hopefully, that is, at a higher level, but not like your see Dick run, see Jane run kind of, just not not Harry Potter type, but not, that young. So just he loves superheroes, he loves those kinds of things. So we have some ideas around a superhero book for.
Okay, well this is just in the works here. Anyway,
Yep.
I just get excited when things get created. I don't know. I just think it's great how I just preach it on this show on the station here all the time about everything begins with a thought. So you take a thought and then it just turns into something magnificent if
Mm-hmm.
you're willing to go the go the distance with it and keep going like you're saying there. But yeah, please keep us updated on that. We'd love to have you back on when that all hits. So
Yeah, for sure. I mean, it could be another 2 years. I'm
yes.
doing fiction this time, and I've never done fiction. Usually, I've always loved to write poems and
Mhm.
journal funny things. I like to be blog funny things. I tend to
Mhm.
write more on the funny side. So I'm really putting myself out there and challenging myself by going with a fiction style
Mhm.
book now. So we'll see.
Awesome. Well, you're a Down syndrome advocate. Do you are you part of any organizations or anything that where can people go to get help is my question there, Wendy, because again, I know several people with Down syndrome. I can't wait to show them this video here so they can learn some things and give them the hope that they're seeking as well. What's some of the first places they can go to that you're aware of?
Right now, so I was involved in a Down syndrome organization for several years. I'm not currently involved in any organizations, but I have been contacted by some of those people that I mentored in the past and have been told how much my mentoring helped them through their beginnings of their journey. So right now I've been doing several podcasts, some radio interviews, and I'm offering parent-to-parent support. And I'm also open to speaking. I've got a few speaking opportunities coming up in the future. So I am passionate about speaking to this topic. I am passionate about sharing with the world the value that individuals with Down syndrome bring and how they're people just like us. Mm-hmm. And so I'm just open to speaking at any opportunity I can. Mm-hmm. And so to reach me, I would just go to my website.
Yeah, I was going to say, go ahead, tell us how we can get a hold of you.
Yeah, so my website is just wendylhooton.com, and that's WENDYLHOOTON.
Okay, and it's down in the show notes here as well.
Oh, okay.
So, yep, and but anyway, where can people get your book?
Well, you can get my book anywhere that you can buy books online, Barnes & Noble, Walmart, Amazon, or go to my website and you can order it through my website as well.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure search engines will be able to pull your book right up to the top when they type in "big people don't pee in the park," right?
I got a copy of it right here.
Yeah, show it there. Thank you. This is what it looks like, guys, and look how happy.
I love this picture of my son. Yes. It's just so it captures what life has been like with him. You know, he's just been he's just like any other human who has emotions or feelings. He has his bad days, but he knows how to get through quickly, bounce back. And so even on a bad day or a day that he's feeling kind of grumpy, he can easily switch modes and just exuberate that joy and bring laughter, and he's what I need in my world.
Absolutely. And in your book, you have like tips and strategies and stuff maybe to help parents along the way and things?
I actually do. I've shared how I worked through each of my challenges. So I start each chapter out with what you can plan for. And then I end each chapter with lessons learned. And then on my website, I actually have a section called Tips from a Mom. And I just provided, some of them may seem a little like, what? This just seems so, cut and dry. But when you have a child with special needs, before you have that child, you don't think about, oh my gosh, how hard is it to put a sock on? There are just so many little things that you don't think about. And so what I did is I just put together a list of tips and how I worked through, giving my son medication or teaching him how to be appropriate, or, how to do up his pants, because buttonholes are so tight. So, but anyway, yes, throughout my book and on my website, I do offer some tips.
Fantastic. WendyLHooton.com, WendyLHooton.com. Again, it's in the show notes down below. Wendy, thank you so much for being with us today. I know this is going to help a lot of people, and I'm excited to get it out there to the world. Thank you so much.
Well, thank you. I appreciate it. I appreciate your help getting it out there into the world.
Fantastic. Well, again, everybody, our guest today, Wendy L. Hooton, she's the author of Big People Don't Pee in the Park, A Mother and Son's Journey with Down Syndrome. It's in all major bookstores. Get yourself a copy here right during the Christmas season. Why not? But if you know anybody with Down syndrome, again, there's help out there, guys. As we talk about this all the time on the show, there's help out there. You just got to ask. And so be sure and just know if there's somebody in your neighborhood that needs help, have them go to Wendy's website. Again, WendyLHooton.com, and she can find some things out there. But anyway, everybody, thank you again for tuning in. Be sure and check us out at resiliencetalknetwork.com, resiliencetalknetwork.com. You can see us on all major media platforms, YouTube, Facebook, TikTok. We're all over the place. Anyway, but keep in touch with us so we can bring you more good information. Until we meet again, go for everything that you want in life and make it happen.
Hello, my friends. This is Brad Neufeld, and I want to thank you for tuning in to the Resilience Talk Network. You can listen to my show, Resilience, every morning, Monday through Friday at 8 a.m. Mountain Standard Time. On my show, we will be discussing what it takes for you to overcome the day-to-day challenges that all of us face in life, as well as some of the devastating ones that may lead us to feelings of hopelessness and despair. It's my goal to provide you with the tools and skills that you need to overcome anything that is thrown your way. To find out more about my show, visit our website at www.resiliencetalk.com. That's www.resiliencetalk.com. And as always, until we meet again, go for everything that you want in life and make it happen.